As part of our ongoing JDM video series, I'm here with Patrick Moorhead at AI Trust Signals, one of the co-founders there. He's been leading the charge on a lot of the AEO stuff that's happening in the market today. And so we're going to have a little conversation.
Thanks. This is fun.
Awesome. I think just to get things kicked off, do you want to give me just a quick elevator pitch about what your vision of what the current state of AEO is and where we are on the total adoption curve and how things are progressing?
Yes, happy to do that. I think where we are today with AEO is nobody really knows. I think that AEO has become a divisive issue in the classic SEO ecosystem. And it's predictable because anytime you have a scaled industry like SEO has become over the last, call it 20 years, anything that comes along that looks like it could threaten the core tenets of that business model can be scary. And it divides the marketplace into two camps. You have the camp of people who say AEO is just SEO with new marketing. And then we have the camp that I think you and I are in, Tyler, which is AEO is something different. It's not that it's fundamentally different. I think it's a recomposition of the ingredients of how brands need to market. And it has some new ingredients in it that need to be paid attention to in a way that haven't fit the classic SEO blueprint. So it is disruptive. I think it's fair to acknowledge that consumer adoption of AI and language models in particular as the primary method of the buyer journey, we're not there yet. And no one should pretend otherwise. It's very easy, I think, to fall into the trap of going on LinkedIn and sort of seeing post after post of, I cracked AEO or I drove, X amount of citations and here's the formula, or LLMs care about this, they don't care about that. And the truth is that better than 80% of the world has never even used an AI tool, full stop. And the buyer journey is still vastly taking place on Google, and classic SEO is the game plan for that. So it's important to level set about what we're talking about. That being said, I think Marcus and I endeavored with AI Trust Signals to understand that we've seen this movie before. When we've seen it before with credit card purchases online. We've seen it before when search emerged as a dominant vehicle for the buyer journey in the early 2000s. And you can predict the shape of where it's going to go, which is there is a future out there somewhere, we don't know when blue link search is not the dominant path to purchase.
No, definitely. And one of the things you hit on is I think AEO is, the way that I view it, is something fundamentally different, but it's a recomposition of the same ingredients that were there before. So it's not like your strategy doesn't need to be completely different. Your strategy is largely born out of your previous SEO strategy, just with slight augmentation. But I also agree with you. I use the analogy all the time where I was always scared to make mobile e-com purchases for a really long time. And now that just seems like such a foolish fear. You know what I mean? And I think that's where we're at, that sort of stage that we're at with AI. And I think we also, because we work in this industry, because we work with tech users, we see this upswing, and there's just this massive upswing. But then to your point, 80% of the world has never engaged with one of these tools in their life. And so I think the adoption curve is we're still at the very tail end of it. You know what I mean? Where we're not the early majority yet or anything like that. We're still, I always go between these two extremes where I feel oh man, I'm behind and I'm not doing enough to level my agency up for the AI and agentic world that's coming. And then reminding myself that a lot of the people I talk to don't even use AI. So it's
right.
Those two extremes can both be true at the same time, I feel sometimes. But I think it's an interesting place where we are. I think you're making a lot of the right strides to try and adjust for the world that is coming and clearly is coming. And I think it's just a matter of time until we're there. So I don't know, it's really interesting because it still makes up a very small percentage of the total information discovery piece, but that piece that it makes up is growing rapidly. And the level of trust that AI is instilling, because you're having these free-flowing conversations where AI is settling what would otherwise be hard to find objections. It's helping you get through those objections directly within the search that you're doing. it leads to a lot more trust being built through the process. And I think that's sort of like where AI trust signals really comes in, is helping us like build trust through this process. So another thing I was curious to ask you is like, what are some of the big steps that you're seeing people forget as they're sort of like rushing to get traction on the AI side? Because I feel like there's this, I mean, I don't feel like there's this huge rush to adjust your strategies to be effective for AI search. But what are some of the things that you're seeing people sort of miss the mark on as they're getting started?
Yeah, it's a good question. One of the really magical things for me has been working with Marcus Sheridan, and who's my co-founder and business partner on AI Trust Signals. Marcus is famous because he correctly identified a key insight long ago, like in 2008 when he wrote his first book, They Ask You Answer. And the insight was that humans need to trust before they buy. And the formula for inspiring trust with buyers comes down to one attitude and five ingredients, right? The attitude is radical transparency. And the components of radical transparency he outlined in the book and led to massive success for his own company, which was a swimming pool company when he wrote the book, but has proven to be massively valuable to hundreds of thousands of businesses, including the two software companies that I've personally worked on over the last 10 years. Buyers want to understand a very simple set of things. How much does it cost? What's going to go wrong with it? How does it stack up against the next best competitor? How do people that have purchased it feel about it? And who's the best of the best when it comes to this thing? And what's been fascinating for me and Marcus both is that those core sort of principles of They Ask You Answer have become even more important, and they make his book look even more prescient today because of
Yeah.
AI. I think the reason is that I'm getting to the answer to your question, but I'm taking the long road. The reason is that AI ultimately is going to ever bend towards making its users happy. That is its mission in the end of the day. And in order to make its users happy, it's going to have to be able to confidently tell them the answers to the same things that they already want to know about any product that they're going to buy, which in our view are those things. How much does it cost? What's going to go wrong? How does it stack up against the competition? Do people like it? Yes or no? And who's the best at it? Pretty simple formula. And it stands the test of time. So that's where the answer to your question lies, right? Is I think there's a tendency not only with brands and business leaders who are feeling panic about AI search and feeling like, oh, the train's missing, I'm missing the train, it's leaving the station. And they then become very easy to fall for a lot of the content tactics that you see polluting channels like LinkedIn, where it's like, I figured it out, or here's 3 steps and
Yeah.
you're good, right? This kind of stuff, which by the way, never really worked in SEO either. There was never like, how many books have been written about SEO? There's never been do these 3 things and you'll show up in Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
Under the hood, the timeless things you need to do as a business owner and brand marketer don't change very much.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mistake is the answer to your question that I see people making is thinking that there's a silver bullet solution, making the mistake that it's a purely technical problem, that it's not a brand structure problem, that it's not a content marketing positioning problem, that it's not a customer satisfaction problem. It's all those things. And many of the things that are ultimately going to drive success long term with AI answers and AI recommendation require long-term commitment. You cannot fix a content problem by publishing a few blog posts. You cannot fix a brand reputation problem by launching a 6-week Google business profile reviews campaign. You've got to make sometimes structural changes to the business. You've got to conduct your marketing operations in a much broader way that is inclusive of reputation management, digital PR, content marketing that's narrative aligned to core strategic areas that you have credible expertise, and you have to do all the technical things. So I think that the mistake that most people are making is, if I just put schema, if I just refactor my blog content so that it's chunked and
Throw some
so that
FAQs
it's
up there, call it a
throw
day.
some
Yeah.
FAQs, slap some schema, do semantic chunking, rewrite all my headlines so they end in a question mark, then ChatGPT will will tell
Yeah.
everyone I'm the best. And the truth is, and what we're trying to uncover and make accessible to people with AI trust signals is it's more than that. And it's bigger than that. And I think this
Yeah.
is why SEOs get scared of it too, is because it's bleeding together all those disciplines that I mentioned. It's bleeding together digital PR, brand storytelling, inbound content marketing, and technical fundamentals that
Yeah.
do influence SEO and now influence AI as well.
Yeah. No, I think I think one of the things that I always stick to is sort of the way that I follow recipes is like if you don't have a certain ingredient, you just change it with a different ingredient. And I think a lot of people are coming to this game thinking that they have the exact directions on like some get rich quick scheme that they saw on LinkedIn, some
Yeah.
variation of that get traffic quick scheme. And
Yeah.
really what it is about is like building a quality recipe that's repeatable and executable, but also that you can change when the, exact ingredients that you had success with previously are not there. And so that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest things that we see success with is like we can give you general guidance on what works generally with AEO, but like Reddit has a lot of impact, right? But then there's always like in almost every account that we look at, there's some industry publication or some area that is like just different case
Hmm.
by case that you can't build a one size fits all solution for. You couldn't really build it for SEO either, to your point. Like, but even less so now, I think. And so that's what I think has been really interesting and exciting about it is like we get
Yeah.
an opportunity to solve another hard problem, which is like why I like marketing, why I got into marketing was like essentially just the problem solving aspect of it. And we're starting to see that like we just have a new problem to solve. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are some of the basic things that so we talked about like some of the basic mistakes that people make when they get started. What are some of the basic things that you recommend brands do at the beginning of their AI search journey to try
Yeah.
and get ranked by the
Uh,
different
you know what
inputs?
I tell a lot of people, and this may sound funny coming from a guy who is trying to sell a product to answer that exact question. But honest to God, the starting point for most of my clients is just go try it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go, you and your friends and family should go open up a ChatGPT session and start asking questions that are in the neighborhood of what you think buyers would ask ChatGPT about your business and see what it says. And it doesn't cost anything it doesn't cost anything actually, because you can do it on a free ChatGPT account.
Yeah.
If you want to dial it up a notch, then just quickly look up how to depersonalize your ChatGPT, turn off the memory features, turn off the personalization features, so you don't get biased results from ChatGPT. Again, AI just wants to make you happy. So if you're
Hmm.
using ChatGPT every day to talk about your business, and then you turn around and start a new chat and say, "Who's the best in my business?" ChatGPT wants to make you happy, so it's going to tell you you
Yeah.
are. It's not rocket science, right? You want to get a better angle on what other people might see, then turn off personalization in your AI account and run the same prompts and see what it says. This doesn't cost you anything though, and it starts to baseline your expectations on things like AI doesn't answer the same way every time, even if you
Yeah.
ask it the same question twice. It starts to baseline people on sometimes it uses web search and sometimes it doesn't, right? And you gotta learn your way around first before you can start solutioning, right? My biased answer is we build AI trust signals to be the start here button for this stuff. We see that there are highly sophisticated, highly competent visibility measurement solutions coming to market, profound, leading the pack. But these are not accessible starting points for the vast majority
Yeah.
of brand owners and small business owners and independent operators. And that's where AI trust signals is designed to function is, okay, so I know this is important. I've run my own tests. I got to get it together. What do I do next? And that's where our platform AI trust signals is designed to function is it's not going to solve it all for you, but it's going to break it down for you to get you from the first step on the path to maybe the fifth or seventh step on the path. The
Yeah.
path may have 20 stones. Our goal is to get you over the threshold into a conversation that says, okay, I know the play space where I need to be thinking about making changes.
Hmm. No, I think that's exactly it. And I think measurement, even for those brands where like measurement is like accessible to set up right away, is like it still is not useful for at least a month. So in our experience in like running AEO programs for large tech brands, usually what we do is like on day one, we run an AI trust signals report. and start executing against some of the things that it suggests. On the same day, we also set up profound reporting, but it doesn't give you anything usable for at least a month, or at least a couple
Hmm.
weeks. We usually try to give it a month.
Yeah.
And then what we do is, like, at the month mark, we've already executed against some of the trust signals suggestions, and then we're starting to improve things from a technical perspective. And then we'll also have a clear understanding of how are people actually asking these AI tools about your brand. And then you can sort of dual purpose the rest of the AEO program in month 2 and month 3 after that fact. Do you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
even if the measurement is accessible to you, like financially, in month 1, it's not particularly useful. So I think that's the
Well,
gap also where AI trust signals really fills.
I love how you guys are doing your Kickstarter program, honestly, because I believe that's the right formula. You'll see and hear me talk about there being two levels to the AEO game. I think there's the visibility level, and then there's the, I don't know what to call the level we're on, but it's kind of the underneath the visibility level, like what's driving it, right? I really think those are different games, and the analogy that I use is AI visibility metric tools like Profound, highly valuable, very sophisticated, necessary, but in the end, they're the scoreboard. And
Yeah.
you need somebody to help you figure out what plays to run and what players to put on the field to run them in order to put points on the board. And that's how I differentiate AI trust signals is we want to be the coach that sort of says, these are the plays that you need to run to win. And for your business, this is how you should think about running those plays and in what
Mhm.
order. And then use a very sophisticated scoreboard to make sure it's working and to dial in your game plan so that you can continue to improve.
Like that analogy, and I'm going to steal that on sales calls going forward. It's really good. One last question I wanted to ask you is just like, with AEO changing as quickly as it's changing, what are some things that you think are sort of evergreen things that are going to stay important? What are the biggest investments that you can make that are not going to have a risk of being changed dramatically over the course of the next year or so? And then how
Yeah.
are you thinking about incorporating those things into AI for signals?
Yeah. I think the things that are evergreen, it kind of goes back to the beginning of the conversation and sort of Marcus's book and what
Yeah.
human buyers need, because that's what we're really talking about, right? You only win in AEO if it results in more human buyers wanting to buy what you're selling. Right. And so there's no prize for winning at AEO or SEO. The
Yeah.
prize is human beings becoming customers. Right. And so that's evergreen. Right. And let's not lose sight of like whoever and whatever AEO winning looks like. You're not really winning unless your pipeline's getting better. So
Yeah.
approach it from that way. And then I think what makes good pipeline, it means do a good job of educating buyers so they arrive qualified. And AI gives us a new opportunity to compress and enhance the level of qualification of buyers. Right? The buyer journey is compressed inside AI. And we have data that's starting to come through that says that buyers that arrive after AI exploration of a brand arrive more qualified, convert higher,
Yeah.
convert faster,
Definitely.
stay loyal longer, right? And why is that? It's not because AI, it's because AI enabled them to learn that your product was a good fit for them, which means that they made themselves into a good buyer. And guess what?
Yeah.
That's what organic content marketing's been doing for 15 years. So it's just in a
It's
different
just happening
format
dramatically quicker.
and
Yeah.
it's faster, more compressed, right? And so the needs of the buyer in that qualification journey, albeit happening in AI, maybe happening faster in a more compressed environment, aren't really different, right? Like
Mhm.
we will never stop pounding the table and saying, publish your pricing on your website. And I think this is a great example of a trust signal that is getting increasingly more and more important with the introduction of AI than it ever has been before. I'd say it's always been important, but now it's more important than ever to have clean, clear, transparent pricing on your website. Think of your business as an entity that you need to curate to inspire trust in people. And that will result in AI recommending you as well. So having more detailed information about who your company is, what do you stand for? Who are the executives that run your company? What are their backgrounds and credentials that make them experts in a way that I believe
Mhm.
it? Attributing all the content on your website to people that have credible expertise, right? Those are the kind of like entity validation trust signals that matter a great deal to human beings and are increasingly, as a result, mattering to AI because AI wants to make the humans happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think what doesn't change is buyer behavior, buyer needs and wants, and brands' formula for success, regardless of if it's AI or if it's holograms or whatever it is always going to be find a credible, radically transparent way to speak to your buyer, and they will
Yeah.
reward you with their purchase.
I think that's one of the things that's been exciting about a lot of the more recent changes that we've seen sort of across the marketing space at our agency has just been a lot of it is we're like coming back to just marketing basics and making sure that we're telling good stories and encouraging people to take the action that we think they should take, but just returning to marketing fundamentals to get them to do that. And I think AI in a lot of ways, it's, what is old is new again. It's just a different avenue to do the marketing basics, but like have to remember the marketing basics, like you said. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Patrick, I just want to say I really appreciate your time. This has been a great conversation, and hopefully we can do it again
Really
soon.
enjoyed it. Always enjoy talking to you, Tyler. It's so much
Yeah,
fun.
this is always a good time. Thank you again, and yeah, we'll hopefully do it again soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you.